AI optimizes my schedule. So I have a project coming up, so I start by listing the project and then set.
The Dorian mode is really good for songwriting because it has this mellow, almost wistful vibe. So it has this really cool sound that songwriters use all of the time. You'll hear it a lot in jazz music, but it's really in all genres, all styles of music, as you'll see. And you can use the Dorian mode too. So in this video, we're going to look at how it works. We're also going to look at 6 really good chord progressions that use the Dorian mode so you can get the juices flowing to apply to your own songwriting. And then we're also going to look at why certain chords are used so you know how to include them in a chord progression to give it a distinctive Dorian sound. So to start, the Dorian mode is just a permutation of the major scale. It's the second mode of the scale. And what that means is that if you start with, say, the C major scale, for example, you have notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But starting on each separate note, you can form 7 different modes. The first mode, the major scale itself, is the Ionian mode. And then starting on the second note, in this case D, the pattern is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and D, or the D Dorian mode. Starting on the third scale degree, or E in this case, we get the Phrygian mode, and then the Lydian mode, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. 7 different modes or permutations of the source scale, which in this example is C major. These are called relative modes because they're all related. They all stem from the same shared pattern. But each separate mode has its own sequence of notes, its own interval pattern that gives it a distinct sound. So if we label the first note in each mode as 1, the different sequence of whole steps and half steps in these modes results in different interval patterns. The major scale or Ionian mode is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Dorian mode is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8, and so on. And these 7 mode patterns apply in any key. For example, if we align all of these modes so that the ones all start on the same note, in this example, chords with a raised 6th note reinforce the Dorian feel. And in the case of D Dorian, as our example, B is the 6th note, is that raised 6th, which is found in the minor 2 chord, the major 4 chord, and the diminished 6th chord. And it's also the major 7th in the flat major 7 chord. So sometimes that chord is used to reinforce, like I say, that Dorian feel. So in the examples we're going to look at, you'll notice that these chords in particular show up a lot. Okay, so let's look at these 6 Dorian progressions with increasing complexity as we go. The first is by far the most popular and common Dorian progression, which is just going back and forth between a minor 1 and a major 4. The third note in the major 4 chord is the raised 6th note of the Dorian mode, so this major 4 has a very Dorian sound. And you'll hear this progression, the minor 1, major 4, all the time. In fact, it's so common that it's sometimes called the Dorian vamp. So it's a staple of jam bands who can trance out on this progression for hours on end. It's also the signature sound of Pink Floyd. It's used in The Wall Part 2, Any Color You Like, and a bunch of other songs by them. Santana's Oye Como Va is also built on this basic progression. And Mark Ronson's Uptown Funk, here's what it sounds like. Uptown Funk you up.